Hey, this is Brian. Welcome to Philosopher's Notes TV. Today we've got Creative Mind and Success by Ernest Holmes. Thin little book, only about 96 pages long. Awesome introduction to Ernest Holmes' work. If you're not familiar with Ernest, he is the founder, the creator of the Science of Mind churches. He lived in the 20th century. He passed away in 1960, so 1887 to 1960. He's one of the first guys to really merge in modern Western American culture, to merge some of the Eastern ideas of Buddhism and Hinduism into a kind of a Christian Western belief system, and created the Science of Mind churches. You know people like Louise Hay, Reverend Beckwith, Michael Bernard Beckwith, who did spiritual liberation, and Louise Hay, of course, founder of Hay House. We did a note on both of them in the 100 Notes. Those guys were both trained in the Science of Mind churches that Ernest Holmes started back in the day. So super cool guy, all about connecting to and expressing the divine. He's got some great inspirational stuff. If you're a student of his work, you know the Science of Mind, the big book, and you might know this one already. If you haven't been exposed to his work, this is a great place to start. Creative Mind and Success. He's got a great line that I share in the introduction here. He says, "I would rather see a student of this science prove its principle than to have him repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been presented." Right? So he's basically saying, I'd rather have someone demonstrate these truths than someone who can repeat and parrot all the different truths out there. It's this idea that the world needs demonstration more than instruction. We need to demonstrate and live these ideas. And the fact that it's not about understanding, it's about living. So how can we apply these ideas? That's what it's all about. He's got another great line. He says, the individual who has the most power, right? The individual who has the most power is the one who has the greatest realization of the divine presence and to whom this means the most in his day-to-day life. So they live from a place of connectedness to the divine. That's the one who has the most power. They're plugged in and they're expressing the divine. And the entire practice of the Science of Mind church and of this book is how can we align with the universal mind, with the divine mind, which is infinite in its potential. It's always benevolent and inspired and thinking toward the future. Really cool stuff, not mired down in contraction and negativity and all this stuff. And in this section I talk about Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell has a great line. He says, am I the light or am I the light bulb? Right? Am I the light or am I the light bulb? And I just love that vision of seeing the light bulb and seeing the light that comes through it. Now, my answer to that question is we're both. And I see our job as to connect to provide a light bulb, to provide a vessel that allows the most light, the most electricity, the most light, the most love, the most joy, the most abundance, the most kindness and generosity, all the virtues we aspire to, the most of that stuff, that goodness to come through us as possible. And I like to think of it metaphorically as you can be a 20-watt bulb, right, that's barely plugged into the wall and kind of flickers once in a while. It comes unplugged. That's one option, 20-watt bulb that flickers. And any time a lot of wattage comes through, it literally just blows the bulb. You can't take it. You get really inspired for a weekend, and then you just kind of fall apart. That's a 20-watt bulb that flickers. That's one option. Or we can be a 1,000-watt bulb that lights up a lighthouse and literally lights up our community and inspires others to see what's possible. Now, if you want to create a lighthouse rather than a 20-watt bulb that flickers, that takes some work. And the question is, what do you need to do? If you wanted to be a 1,000-watt light bulb so that you can allow as much of the divine energy to flow through you as possible, what would you need to do? Who would you need to be? And in the note here, I asked, what are 5 things you could do? For me, mine are very clear and they evolve. So oftentimes in these notes, I'll talk about what I'm doing, and many times this is a year, even 2 years after I wrote this note that I'm recording this. So my practices constantly evolve. Currently, what I do, I meditate every day for a half an hour in the morning, another 15 minutes in the evening. I also do a little bit of Qigong at the end of that and some other stuff, visualization, etc. I train intensely, exercise, right? So I'm passionate about my strength and my aerobic conditioning and my flexibility, all that stuff. So that's a big thing for me, that I know the better shape I'm in, the higher my wattage, the more energy I can bring through, the more consistently I can create great stuff. I eat really well. We just spent our honeymoon at a health resort called Hippocrates. It's kind of like a health boot camp honeymoon. We learned a lot about living foods and what makes sense, how unbelievably off track we are with all the refined foods, all the animal products we consume. So for me, that's a big practice, eating incredibly well. What else do? I journal daily. It's really powerful for me to slow down and remind myself what my values are, what I'm working on right now, what I'm committed to creating by when. Really cool stuff. And I create every day. So I do one of these, or I read, or I create a chapter in the book I'm writing. I create every day. I'm moving forward. Now what I've found is those 5 simple fundamentals are huge for me to allow me to go from 20 watts to 40, 60, 80, 100. Just how bright can I get? And I know that it's through the consistent application of those fundamentals. So my question for you is, what are your fundamentals? I ask you this all the time, and I hope you dig it, and are finding what those are for you and developing the discipline and the blisscipline to do them more and more frequently to really go out and create an extraordinary life and shine as brightly as you can. So there you go. Went off on that one. Let's move over to move through to another couple big ideas. Which ones do we want to hit? There's some other really good ones in here. We'll look at fear. He says that fear brings failure. Fear brings failure, and faith brings success. It's just that simple, quote unquote. Fear brings failure, faith brings success. It's just that simple. He's really big on getting rid of all negative thoughts from your mind. All fear is a negative expectation. If you have fear, essentially you have a negative expectation. You think something's going to go wrong, hence you're afraid. If you thought something was going to go awesome, you'd be excited. All you got to do is shift your thoughts from something going really wrong to something going really right. It's a huge step. It's a simple step and a huge benefit when we make that step. So it's all about being able to see the ideal, hold that with a faith and with a deep knowing, and then do the things that are consistent with that. It's just that simple. Bring success super big. He talks about the fact that we need to let go of the past. Forgive ourselves of our failures, of our mistakes, of all of our shortcomings, of all of our, oops moments from the past. Forgive all of that. Live in this moment and move forward. We've got to let it go. I talk about that in some more detail here. Again, on that theme, he says negative thoughts. He says put every negative thought out of your mind once and for all. That's a strong statement. Put every negative thought out of your mind once and for all. Wayne Dyer, I think it was, said, don't let a negative thought complete itself in your mind. So you start to see the negative thought and go, don't let it complete itself in your mind. Right? And if the negative thought completed itself, don't let a sentence complete itself. If a sentence completed itself, stop it before the paragraph. The paragraph completed itself, see if you can stop it before the page. The page, see if you can stop it before the short story is written. But too often we write novels of negativity, and what we want to do is to step in between and see how quickly we can stop that negativity and have fun with it. Again, positive negativity is when we can see when we're doing something we don't want to do. That's a good thing. So stop it sooner and sooner and sooner, and then see if you can stop it before the thought even completes itself. And pretty soon you won't even have them bubbling up anywhere near as more frequently. I can personally attest to how powerful that is. So that is a really quick look at creative mind and success. We spent a lot of time on the idea of plugging into and shining with this radiant light. I call that in theos, God within. We do that. We plug in, we shine, we live with radiant enthusiasm, which for me is my ultimate highest goal. It's the fundamental tenet, the absolute center and the circumference of the philosophy I'm developing and what life is all about in my mind. So there you go. Plug in, shine. Hope you dug it. Go out and have an awesome day. Look forward to sharing more with you soon. See you.